The call of the river. We are living in an era of relentless effort. The modern world teaches us that to succeed, we must control, hold on, and subdue reality to our will. We rush into life like warriors, tirelessly building sturdy dams to block uncertainty, only to eventually collapse in exhaustion upon realizing that the current of life still flows to its own rhythm, regardless of all human calculations. The core of Buddhist philosophy and Eastern sages lies in a simple yet profound truth. Life is inherently a river. Suffering does not come from the rapids or the bends in the flow, but from our own resistance to that water. When we try to grasp what belongs to the past or force the future to follow the ego's script, we are separating ourselves from the harmonious operation of the universe. This book does not teach you how to be a winner in the race for control, but invites you onto an opposite journey, the journey of mindful surrender. Through 5 chapters, we will together dismantle each layer of the ego's barriers. From breaking the illusion of control, transforming the mindset to be like water, learning the art of letting go, and practicing total acceptance until reaching absolute faith in the invisible order of the universe. Relax your clenched hands, take a deep breath, and begin to listen to the melody of the river. Because true freedom does not lie in controlling the water, but in realizing that you are that river. If there is a message in today's video that touches your heart, do not hesitate to share it in the comments. It could be a quote you love, or simply an experience where you are learning to go with the flow. We are always here to listen. Part 1. Breaking the illusion of control. Listening to the melody of the universe. The core of Eastern philosophy, from the teachings of the Buddha to Lao Tzu's concept of wu-wei, non-action, has always used the image of flowing water as a metaphor for the flow of life. A river is never still. It moves continuously, winding through rapids, weaving through forests, and finally merging into the vast ocean. Each human life is just such a river, a series of events, emotions, and karmic connections following one after another without pause. Suffering, dukkha, arises not because the river flows too fast or too slow, nor because the rocks in the way splash. White foam. Real suffering arises when we, travelers on that river, try to use our tiny hands to splash the water upstream, or build sturdy dams hoping to force life to stand still according to our wishes. We are obsessed with control. We want everything to go according to plan. Careers must progress on schedule. Relatives must behave according to expectations, and even health must follow our desires. But reality has no obligation to follow anyone's script. When reality collides with desire, an emotional rupture occurs. That is when stress, anxiety, and despair appear. To find serenity, the first and most important step is not learning how to control the world, but learning how to break the illusion that we have the right or the ability to control it. In mindful psychology, we often live in 2 parallel worlds. The world of what is objective reality, and the world of what should be the illusion of the ego. What should be is a long list of rules and expectations that we impose on ourselves and others. I should be rich by 30. My children should be absolutely obedient. Everyone should recognize my value. When we cling to these shoulds, we inadvertently become dictators of our own lives. Every time reality deviates from the tracks of expectation, we feel betrayed. The pain at this point does not come from the event, but from the gap between expectation and reality. The illusion of control gives us a false sense of security. We plan for the next 5 or 10 years with the belief that if we try hard enough, we will force the universe to submit. However, look at the nature of existence. A global pandemic, a sudden economic upheaval, or an unannounced separation can collapse the entire sandcastle of control in an instant. The harsh but liberating truth is, we have the right to influence, the right to strive, but absolutely no right to control the final outcome. Many people mistake naturalness or acceptance for a passive, resigned, or lazy attitude toward life. They fear that if they do not control, they will be pushed to destruction by the current of life. However, this is a disastrous misunderstanding of mindset. Flowing with nature is actually action in the highest state of mindfulness. Observe a talented surfer. He does not control the wave, nor does he try to stop it. He observes its rhythm, feels the immense power beneath the surfboard, and adjusts his posture to integrate. If he resists the power of the water, he will be submerged. If he lets go completely, he will be swept away. The secret lies in using the energy of reality itself to move. Living in the flow is an acknowledgement that life has its own rhythm, its own seasons. There is a season to sow seeds, effort, a season to wait, patience, and a season to harvest, enjoyment. Those who know how to flow with the stream will not sow seeds in the barren winter and will not sit waiting for fruit to ripen when it has just sprouted. They listen for the timing. They observe the signs of the universe to act in the most effective way with the least effort. This is effortless action. This world is not a random mess. From the macro operation of galaxies to the micro operation of atoms, everything follows a delicate melody. To live in peace, we need to learn to listen instead of impose. What does listening to the melody of the universe mean? It is when you encounter a constant obstacle in your work, instead of stubbornly pushing through with your ego, you stop to ask yourself, could this be a sign that I need to change my method or direction? It is when a relationship breaks down despite your best efforts. Instead of wallowing in pain, you see it as a natural ending to prepare for a new chapter necessary for the soul's growth. Instead of forcing reality to serve a small and selfish ego, learn to respond with clarity. When the mind is no longer busy plotting to control others, it becomes sharp and clear enough to recognize the golden opportunities and guidance that the universe is silently sending through seemingly coincidental events. Breaking the illusion of control is the first step for a traveler who wants to find a peaceful harbor. It requires extraordinary courage to admit one's smallness before the vast ocean of life. But it is precisely in that smallness that we find a new strength, the strength of flexibility, the strength of tolerance, and the strength of total presence. When we cease to be the harsh gatekeepers of our own lives, when we drop the chains of expectation, we will begin to see another beauty of existence, the beauty of self-possession and boundless freedom. We are no longer warriors, fighting against the water. We begin to merge into it, becoming part of the great flow heading toward the ocean of truth. The journey of breaking the illusion of control is not a one-time event, but a persistent daily practice. It paves the way for part 2, inner transformation, where we will learn how to make the mind as still as a lake, ready to reflect all the upheavals of the world, without being hurt. Thank you for spending your precious time with Heartful Mind Life through the journey of acceptance and letting go. May these sharings be a cool breeze soothing the stresses you are carrying. Part 2, inner transformation, the mindset of water. Most of us spend the majority of our lives fighting, not just the battle with external difficulties regarding food and money, but also a silent and persistent civil war within our own minds. We are constantly torn between what we have and what we want, between our flawed true selves and the ideal models molded by society. This war creates fierce waves on the lake of the mind, preventing us from ever seeing the truth that inherently exists right at the bottom of the lake. Stopping the inner war does not mean surrendering or becoming indifferent to life. It is the cessation of harsh dualistic judgments, right and wrong, good and bad, should and should not. When we stop competing over right and wrong with reality, when we accept that everything is happening exactly as it needs to happen based on the causes and conditions that exist, the mind will automatically fall into a state of stillness. Imagine your mind as a lake. When you constantly stir it with your hands through anxiety, calculation, and resistance, the water will be muddy and you can see nothing. But just pull your hand back and sit still, and the mud will settle by itself according to natural law. Clarity, wisdom, is not something we need to find in a distant place. It is something that will reveal itself when inner disturbances cease. Lao Tzu once left an immortal philosophy: highest good is like water, Shangshan Ruoshui. Water is the softest entity, yet also the most powerful thing in the world, because water never tries to resist anything. Observe a river flowing through rugged terrain. When it encounters a large rock blocking its path, the river does not stop to argue or try to use muscle power to push the rock away. It also does not feel insulted or resentful because the rock blocked its path. The river simply bends, weaving through the gaps and continuing its journey. It does not cling to the old rock, nor is it afraid when the terrain ahead changes. Resisting the redirection of life's flow is the root of all emotional pain. When a sudden turn appears, it could be a loss, a failure, or a change in environment. Our ego often becomes as rigid as a dry branch. A dry branch will break when the storm rises because it does not know how to bend. Conversely, the mindset of water helps us adapt to every container that life brings. In a bowl, it takes the shape of the bowl. In a bottle, it takes the shape of the bottle, but the nature of water remains pure, cool, and serene. Why do we find flowing with the stream so difficult? The answer lies in the ego. The ego is a psychological structure we have built over many years from memories, prejudices, titles, and desires for control. The ego lives by separation. It always divides between me and the rest of the world. The ego always feels insecure and fears change, because every upheaval threatens the stable existence and power it has worked hard to build. When you try to live in the flow, the ego will constantly whisper warnings. If you don't control, you'll be empty-handed. Or if you don't fight, you'll be a cowardly loser. True inner transformation begins when you realize that you are not that ego. You are not the anxious thoughts. You are not the temporary titles you carry. You are the observing entity, the vast space that contains all those thoughts. When the blind identification between yourself and the ego is broken, you will see that letting go of the power of control is no longer a scary loss, but a great liberation that helps you touch freedom. There is a thin but extremely important line between giving up and surrender. Giving up carries the energy of despair and helplessness. You quit because you think you can no longer do anything, a mindset full of bitterness and blaming fate. Conversely, mindful surrender is an act of wisdom and deep faith. You still do everything you can with the highest effort, but then you know how to return the results to the universe. You believe that the flow of life is intelligent enough to lead you where you truly need to go to learn and grow, instead of just where your greedy ego wants to go. Surrendering is the transformation from a state of pushing to a state of allowing. Instead of straining to push reality to follow your will, you allow reality to be itself and allow yourself to melt into the common rhythm of all things. In this surrender, you are no longer a lonely individual fighting the whole world, but you become a part of a harmonious and energetic whole. How do we maintain this transformation when we still have to face the pressure of work and life every day? The secret lies in building a sustainable, quiet space within. Observing the breath. The breath is the magical bridge between body and mind. When facing adversity, the breath often becomes short and rapid as a reflex of the ego. By returning to deep and even breathing, you are sending a strong signal to the nervous system. Everything is fine. I am fully present here. Accepting current feelings. If you are feeling sad, do not try to force yourself to be happy immediately. Observe that sadness like a guest visiting the river of your mind. Do not chase it away, and do not cling to it. Just purely recognize, sadness is here. Without resistance, the sadness will pass faster than you think. Contemplating impermanence. Remind yourself every day that every inner state is temporary. Joy comes and goes, pain also comes and goes. Real transformation lies in the fact that you are no longer attached to or defined by any momentary state, but become the vast space that contains them all. When this inner revolution is gradually completed, you will reach a state called unconditional peace. Most people only feel peaceful when everything outside goes according to their wishes. Those who live in the flow find stillness even when the storm is howling fiercely outside the window. At this point, you discover that happiness is not a destination in the future, but a way of moving in the present. You no longer chase after the ghosts of fame or regret the ashes of the past. You are present, complete, and majestic like a river drifting toward the great sea. carrying its own tolerance and intense vitality. Thank you for spending your precious time with Heartful Mind Life through the journey of acceptance and letting go. May these sharings be a cool breeze soothing the stresses you are carrying. Part 3. The Art of Letting Go, Being in the World but Not of the World. One of the most common misunderstandings in spiritual life is equating letting go with giving up. This confusion makes many people fear that letting go means becoming irresponsible, indifferent, or losing the motivation to live. In reality, giving up carries the energy of failure, boredom, and avoidance. When you give up a job or a relationship because you are tired or dissatisfied, you often leave with a mindset heavy with resentment, bitterness, or a sense of helplessness. Conversely, letting go carries the energy of freedom and wisdom. It is when you still work with all your heart, still love deeply, still live in the midst of this life but no longer let the mind be attached to the results, possession, or recognition. Imagine you are holding a rose. You enjoy its beauty and fragrance, but you do not squeeze it tightly in your palm. If you squeeze it for fear of losing it, the thorns will make you bleed and the flower will be crushed. Letting go is loosening your hand so that both you and the flower are free in your own beauty. The root of all suffering and attachment is the denial of impermanence, anicca. Rationally, we know everything changes, but deep in our subconscious, we act as if everything is eternal. We want youthful beauty to stay forever. We want love to always be as passionate as the first day. We want wealth and power to only increase and never decrease. Pain does not come from change because change is the essence of life. Pain comes from our refusal to accept a changing reality. When the river flows to a bend, if we keep clinging to the old bank, the water will tear us apart. The wise person understands, whatever is born must die. When you accept that dissolution is already inherent in formation, you will no longer be severely shocked when loss occurs. You love someone and know that one day karmic conditions or death will separate the two of you. Instead of being afraid, this understanding makes you cherish every present moment more. You let go of fear to truly live fully with the presence of your loved one. In relationships, attachment is often mistaken for deep love. We often use the name of love to possess and manipulate. I love you, so I want to know what you are doing every minute, or I love my child, so the child must choose a major according to my wishes. In fact, that is possession based on the fear of loss and the need to fill the gap within the ego. Buddhism mentions equanimity, upekkha, one of the 4 sublime states. Loving with equanimity is not being cold, but loving unconditionally and without expectation. It is when you allow the other person to be themselves, even when their choices do not satisfy you. You become the tolerant sky for the clouds passing through. This love does not exhaust you because it does not demand control. When you do not possess the other person, you never fear losing them. Because in reality, nothing truly belongs to us. Even this body is just elements we borrowed from the universe for a short time. A large part of human suffering lies in 2 places that do not exist: the past and the future. Our mind is like a monkey jumping constantly between these 2 branches while forgetting the only solid tree trunk, the present moment. We cling to the past with regret, guilt, or old glories. We cling to the future with anxiety, expectation, and hypothetical scripts. Letting go of time means stopping identifying yourself with what has passed and worrying less about what is not yet come. A river never flows in the past or the future. It is always movement right at the point it is passing through. When you let go of the burden of yesterday and the fear of tomorrow, your feet will become light. You begin to truly live instead of just preparing to live. This is the deepest and also the most difficult level of letting go. We spend our lives building a magnificent self and the accompanying minds, my house, my car, my opinion. When someone touches my opinion, we get angry. When we lose my property, we collapse. The art of letting go teaches us that the self is just a flow of ever-changing thoughts and emotions. Look back at yourself 20 years ago. Where is that self now? It has vanished and been replaced by a new entity. When you let go of the need to protect and polish your image in the eyes of others, you will reach a state of boundless freedom. You become simple, humble, and harmonious. When the ego dissolves, you will see that you are the river, the wind, the common breath of the universe. Letting go is a muscle of the soul that needs to be trained every day through small actions. Clearing physical attachment. Give away old items you do not use. When the external space is airy, the mind will also be less cluttered. Letting go of the need to be right or wrong. In a not too important argument, try smiling and not needing to prove you are right. That feeling of relief is the taste of peace. Practicing emptiness. Every day spend a few minutes sitting still, observing thoughts arise and then letting them go like clouds. Do not follow, do not chase. The paradox of letting go lies in, when you try to grasp, you only have a handful of sand. But when you open your palm, you have the whole world. The one who lets go is the richest person, because their peace is not based on what they possess, but based on the self-possession of their own soul. Thank you for spending your precious time with Heartful Mind Life through the journey of acceptance and letting go. May these sharings be a cool breeze soothing the stresses you are carrying. Part 4. Acceptance. The bridge to peace and natural healing. One of the biggest barriers that makes it difficult for us to practice acceptance is the confusion between acceptance and agreement or approval. When standing before a terrible event like betrayal, illness, or failure, the mind often reacts, "Why should I accept such a wrong and painful thing? Isn't acceptance weakness?" However, acceptance in a mindful spirit does not mean you are saying that thing is good or you want it to continue happening. Acceptance is simply the recognition of an objective truth. This is happening. When you refuse to accept reality, you are consuming a huge amount of energy to fight an event that already belongs to the past of the present moment. Resisting something that has already happened is like standing in a downpour and screaming at the sky to be sunny. You cannot make it stop raining with anger. You only make yourself more exhausted and wet. Acceptance is the first step for you to calmly put on a raincoat and find shelter. It is the action of a sharp wisdom, looking straight at reality without adding the hatred of the ego. One of the deepest metaphors for acceptance is the image of the sky and the clouds. Imagine your true nature is the vast, still, and eternal blue sky. Emotions, thoughts, and adversities are the clouds passing across that sky. There are fluffy white clouds of joy, but there is also no shortage of dark clouds carrying the thunder and lightning of pain and anger. Our biggest mistake is often identifying ourselves with the clouds. When dark clouds come, we think, "I am a suffering person. I am a failure." Acceptance teaches us to stand in the position of the sky. The sky allows all clouds to pass through without judgment, without chasing them away, and without trying to hold them back. No matter how fierce the storm is, it cannot scratch or change the pure nature of the sky. When you accept a sadness, you are no longer that sadness. You become the vast space that contains that sadness. It is this separation that brings you peace in the midst of upheaval. Pain is an inevitable and objective part of the human condition: birth, aging, sickness, death. However, there is a decisive difference between pain and suffering. Pain is the actual physical or emotional collision, a wound, a loss. Suffering is the torment, the resistance, and the tragic stories that the mind weaves around that pain. Why me? It's so unfair. My life is over. A famous spiritual formula states, suffering equals pain x resistance. If resistance is zero, then suffering is also zero, even though the pain still exists. When you accept pain, you strip away its negative emotional weight. At this point, pain is merely a form of energy moving through the body. When not imprisoned by resistance, pain will dissipate quickly like a wave hitting the shore and then receding back to the open sea. Acceptance is how we allow pain to fulfill its educational mission and then let it depart in peace. We are often the harshest judges of ourselves. Sometimes we accept the mistakes of others more easily than we accept our own flaws or dark sides. True peace does not come from trying to be perfect according to societal standards, but from accepting your entire being, both the light and the dark. Accept that you have fears, selfishness, and moments of weakness. When these parts are illuminated by the light of acceptance, they are no longer ghosts haunting you. Just as a lotus flower needs mud to fragrance, your wisdom needs painful experiences and old mistakes to blossom. When you reconcile with yourself, you no longer need validation from the outside world to feel okay. You become a complete entity, self-possessed, and full of compassion for yourself as well as for the world. To bring acceptance into your life, you can practice a simple exercise whenever you face difficulty. Stop and ask yourself, can I accept that this is happening right now? If the inner answer is no, I can't stand it, then do not force yourself. Take the next step. Accept that very non-acceptance. Allow yourself to feel angry, to feel unable to accept reality yet. When you accept your own resistance, the internal war will immediately cool down. Gentleness and patience with yourself are the glue that mends the cracks in your soul, the sturdiest bridge leading you across the river of suffering to the shore of peace. Thank you for spending your precious time with Heartful Mind Life, through the journey of acceptance and letting go. May these sharings be a cool breeze soothing the stresses you are carrying. If there is a message in today's video that touches your heart, do not hesitate to share it in the comments. It could be a quote you love, or simply an experience where you are learning to go with the flow. We are always here to listen. Part 5. Faith in the Invisible Order, the pinnacle of freedom and peace. Inner peace never appears when we solve every problem in life. It only blossoms when we believe that every experience carries a lesson, or a deep purpose. This world operates according to a system of cause and effect and a rhythm so complex that the limited human intellect often cannot understand it immediately. We are like ants, crawling on a giant tapestry. We only see tangled threads, but from the perspective of the universe, it is a perfect pattern. Trust is not a blind belief or superstition, but a courageous attitude toward life. It is the understanding that, no matter how painful the adversity, it still contains a seed of awakening. When we are brave enough to let life be settled, meaning to stop interfering. With the anxious ego and calculation, life will arrange the pieces in the most miraculous way. The wisdom of letting go lies in this: you fulfill your responsibility, then calmly observe life as it reveals itself. To achieve absolute trust, we must practice non-judgmental observation. In daily life, the habit of labeling, this is a good thing, this is a bad thing, is actually a subtle form of resistance. When we label an event as terrible, our mind immediately closes the door to all possibilities of learning and transformation. Those who live in the flow learn to integrate the dark side into their lives. Instead of only welcoming the bright parts, they embrace negative emotions like loneliness, disappointment, or anger. When accepted without judgment, these emotions are not suppressed into melancholy but transform themselves into wisdom and compassion. When we stop judging reality, our actions no longer arise from fear or greed, but flow naturally from pure clarity. Humans naturally fear uncertainty. We always crave certainty to feel safe, but the truth is, life only truly arises in the not knowing. A seed does not need to know if it will become a giant tree or a patch of grass. It simply sprouts when conditions are sufficient. Accepting uncertainty means saying, I don't know what will happen tomorrow, but I trust in the power of life within me. This faith releases us from the pressure of having to predict everything. The universe does not respond to the calculating plans of the brain. It responds to the vibrations of the heart. Fear contracts energy, while faith expands the soul. A person with faith is one who sees the sky even when dark clouds cover it. They know the storm will pass, and the nature of the universe is inherently abundance and light. True peace is not a place without noise or difficulty. It is a state of immutable stillness lying deep beneath all fluctuations of external circumstances. The Buddha once likened the human mind to a lake. When the winds of desire, wanting everything your way, and resistance, hating what is happening, stop blowing, the the surface of the lake becomes still. At this point, the lake does not need to try to reflect the moonlight. It does so automatically and most faithfully. At the deepest level of being, there is no more right/wrong or gain/loss. There is only what is. When you realize you are the vast ocean and not the lonely waves, you will no longer be shaken by temporary events. Waves may be high or low, but the ocean remains majestic and deep. The journey of living in the flow ends when the ego, the self, completely dissolves into the great current of life. The ego lives by separation and the noise of control. When we return to inner silence, the illusion of that separation vanishes. You are no longer the one trying to live in the flow, but you are that flow itself. You no longer chase happiness or run from suffering. You become a serene witness to the eternal process of change in the universe. This freedom no longer depends on whether the world is perfect or not, because you have found perfection right within the imperfection of all things. The journey of flowing with the stream is actually a process of removing rather than accumulating. We remove heavy expectations, remove narrow prejudices, and remove the need to master the world. Only when the hands are completely empty, non-attached, can the universe fill them with true abundance and light. True freedom only arises when you realize you are not the person fighting the water, but you are the river flowing with majesty and self-possession. Take a deep breath, smile at the present, and let the current of life take you to the shore of eternal peace. A final message. You have completed the 5-part journey of exploring the art of living in the flow. Every word you just read is a seed. To let these seeds sprout, choose the smallest thing you can practice today. It could be stopping your judgment of someone, or simply accepting a minor inconvenience with a smile on your lips. The journey through the 5 chapters of the art of living in the flow is not an intellectual conquest, but a homecoming. Together we have peeled back the layers of fear, the prejudices about success and failure, and the sturdiest illusions of the separate self. Now, looking back, you will realize that peace is not something that needs to be attained at the end of the road, but is a state that is always present when we stop resisting the truth. Living in the flow does not mean your life will henceforth be void of storms. Storms will still come, treacherous bends will still appear, and losses remain part of the law of impermanence. However, the difference lies here. You are no longer a dry branch easily broken by the wind, but have become soft water that can pass through every crack in the boulders. You have learned how to love without possessing, act without attaching, and smile even at things that do not go as intended. When the ego completely dissolves into the great current, all boundaries between me and life vanish. You no longer have to strain to live correctly, because your mindful presence itself is absolute harmony. You discover a great truth. The universe has never been against you. Every event is a necessary note to create the symphony of growth. Step out there and continue to flow. Do not fear the rapids, nor regret the silted banks you have passed. With empty hands and an open heart, you possess everything. This life is a majestic, self-possessed flow, and you are the most serene witness to that eternal beauty. Peace lies here right at this moment. Flow and be at peace. If there is a message in today's video that touches your heart, do not hesitate to share it in the comments. It could be a quote you love, or simply an experience where you are learning to go with the flow. We are always here to listen,